Hello everyone, I'm Joy and this is 45 minutes of Yin Yoga. Today we're going to need 2 blocks, a bolster, or you can use a pillow or any kind of cushion around your house that may be good for support. So let's get started. We're going to start in child's pose. You can bring your big toes together to touch, knees wide, and hips to your heels. And then start to walk your hands out in front of you. And here it would be really nice to use your bolster. You can either lay over it, or I like to use a block under my forehead to bring the ground a little bit closer so I'm not straining my neck. Start to connect to your breath here, deepening your inhales and your exhales. Start to come to stillness and melt onto your mat, letting go of anything on your to-do list today. Our Yin Yoga practice is about opening the deeper connective tissues of the body. So the poses are held a little bit longer and we use more support for safety. At any time, if you feel pain in any pose, if you feel burning pain or pinching or sharp pain, just back off. You can come into any modifications that you need or use as many props to support yourself. A few more cycles of breath here. Slowly start to walk yourself up. Remove your prop if you used one. And then start to slide forward. Come into a Sphinx pose. Extend your legs straight behind you. Hip width apart. Bring your arms shoulder width apart. Forearms on the mat. Elbows under your shoulders. Gaze forward. And Sphinx is it's a back bend. So you can make this as engaged, as deep, or as easy as you'd like today. But wherever you are, find your shape and then start to settle in. You can close your eyes here. If you have any reoccurring thoughts that pop up during practice, just notice them and let them go. Our minds are always so busy with the chatter of thinking that we don't typically spend a lot of time during the day focusing on how our body is actually feeling. So since you're taking the time to connect with your body, maybe just turn off that other chatter for a little bit and just listen to what your body might need right now. After being in this pose for a little over a minute, if you'd like to go a little further, start to walk your hands out toward the upper corners of your mat and press yourself up into a seal pose. This will make your back bend a little bit more intense, only if you feel like your body can take it today. Otherwise, it's perfectly fine to stay in Sphinx pose. And slowly release. And start to push yourself up to a tabletop. You can bring your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, place the tops of your feet on the mat. And then do a few cat-cows to your own breath. So press into your hands, extend your spine toward the ceiling as you exhale for cat pose. And then slowly bring your chest forward, broaden your shoulders for cow. And do this very slowly to your own breath. Our goal is not to heat up the body, but just to bring a little bit of energy back through it. And then come back to stillness, to a neutral spine. Make sure you have your blocks readily available for our next pose. We're going to go into a baby dragon, also known as low lunge. So you can lift your right leg up behind you and bring it all the way through between your hands for your low lunge. You can have your blocks on either side of your right foot. And then extend your back leg straight behind you. Come a little bit more onto the top of your thigh, so you might need to wiggle your foot back a little bit further. And baby dragon, or any of the dragons, are actually a very intense hip opener, a very intense quad stretch. So once again, use whatever props you need to feel comfortable here. You can have your blocks on the medium setting, you can have them on the high setting to start. But just find your edge, find a place where you can get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and then drop in and relax for a few minutes. Start to notice if your tension shifted at all here. Is it in your jaw? Is it in your shoulders? Try to soften in any of those places. A few more cycles of breath here. Slowly start to move your blocks. Bring your right foot back to meet your left. Come back into your tabletop. And we're going to take a few over-exaggerated hip circles here. So you can press your hips toward your heels, let them fall to the right, come back towards center, let them fall over to the left, come back around. A few times, the blood flowing through your legs again. And then whenever you're ready, come back into stillness. We're going to do this on the other side. So lift your left leg up and back behind you, bend your knee, bring it all the way through your hands, and try for knee over ankle. We're going to try to keep that alignment, although alignment is not necessarily the goal here. Wiggle that back leg a little bit to get more on your thigh. And then again, start to melt into the pose. Let your body open naturally. It's less about effort and more about time. Big breath in and let it out. Notice where the tension may have shifted. Can you soften a little bit more? A few more breaths here. Slowly start to release the pose. Bring your knees back into tabletop, your hands under your shoulders, and we're going to do a few more hip circles. And then curl your toes under and press your hips back for a downward dog. You can bend one knee here, maybe the other, shift side to side, whatever little movements that your body needs. Get a nice spine stretch. And next we're going to be setting up for pigeon prep, or in the end, sleeping swan. So you can lift your right leg up and back behind you, bend your knee, bring your knee to the outside of your right wrist, slowly lower your hips down to the mat, extend your left leg out behind you. And first, let's set this up. So we're going to make sure that our knee, our shin is as parallel to the front as it can be today. If it's not at all, that's perfectly fine. Wherever it is, flex or point your toe to protect, I couldn't think of the word, to protect your front knee. And then here, you can either use your blocks again or a bolster. And we can either stay sitting up, or your options are coming down to your forearms or coming down to your forehead and laying flat. Find your shape and then release. Our yin practice is a lot slower and more focused on support so that we don't strain our connective tissues, our fascia, our ligaments, our tendons. We want to give them a little bit of stress to promote healing and to promote mobility, but you don't want to strain them. That's never the goal in yoga. You never want to injure yourself. Another minute here. Slowly start to walk yourself back up to center. You can curl your toes under, press yourself back up into your down dog. And then bend your knees again. Take whatever movements you may need. I know after sitting in sleeping swan or pigeon for a while, sometimes my feet start to fall asleep a little bit, so these little movements are very helpful. And then whenever you're ready, lift your left leg up and back behind you, bend your knee, bring it through. And set up for pigeon prep, sleeping swan on the second side. Extend your right leg straight back. You can always place a block or a blanket under this hip flexor if you need to. Find your shape. Find a place that you feel tension, but then you can also become still and come into whatever variation feels good on this side. And this side may be different than the last side, and that's okay. The goal is to honor wherever our bodies are today, not to try to get into a certain shape. Breathe in deeply and exhale. Notice where your body is at today, where this side is different than the last side, but don't place any judgment on it. Just notice. Start to slowly push yourself back up to center. Curl your back toes under. Come back up into your downward dog one more time. Bend your knees a lot here. You push your hips back, sway from side to side. And then come down to a seat on your mat for caterpillar or forward fold. Extend your legs out straight, flex your feet, sit up straight and tall. And in caterpillar, if you need to, if your body is just like, no, we're not doing that, then you can bend your knees a lot here. These forward folds are nice because the longer that you stay in them, your body will open more. So if you need to start up here and then maybe come down here, that's perfectly okay. But you can grab a block and place it on your thighs and just start to round your forehead toward your legs and drape your body forward. This is a very intense stretch for your entire back body, your hamstrings, all the way up your back. So if you need to bend your knees a lot, then do that, please. Slowly start to roll up. Remove any support you may have used. And you can shake your legs out a little bit here. And then keep your left leg extended. You're going to bend your right leg and bring your sole of your foot to the inside of your left thigh. Let your knee drop to the side. This is half butterfly. Turn your torso toward your left leg and then start to drape over your left thigh. In this stretch, you can also walk your hands to the front and fold forward, or walk over to the right and fold over your right knee. And see where it might feel a little bit different for you, better, worse. It's kind of fun to see what areas of our body might need more attention. Slowly start to walk your hands back up. Extend your right leg to meet your left. You can shake your legs out again here. Set up for side 2. Bend your left leg. Bring the inside sole of your foot to the inside of your right thigh. And then turn toward your right leg and start to fold over. Let your head hang heavy. With every exhale, maybe release a little bit more. Take a big breath in and let it out. Slowly start to walk yourself back up. Extend your legs out in front of you again. And we're going to do one more seated pose, so you can bend your right knee. This time we're going to bring the sole of your right foot to the outside of your left leg. Gently flex your feet here, and then raise your left arm up. Bring your tricep to the outside of your right thigh and twist open toward the right. Maybe gaze over your right shoulder if that feels good for your neck. Otherwise, you can look straight ahead. Twists are great to reset the spine. Maybe on your exhale, start to twist a little bit more. Now on your next inhale, release. Come back through center, extend your legs in front of you, and then bend your left leg. Place your left foot on the outside of your right thigh. Extend your right arm above you, and then place your tricep on the outside of your left thigh and twist open to the left. On your next inhale, come back through center, grab a block, And then we're going to come laying all the way down on our backs. Knees bent, feet about 6 inches in front of your glutes, hip width apart. And then you're going to take your block on the medium setting and place it right under your sacrum, which is where the muscly part of your glutes meet your lower back. And this is a supported bridge. So make sure your knees are pointed straight up. You can bring your hands either by your side or out to a T. Chin up, chest open, and let your hips just rest on the support of the block. Keep your inhales and exhales even. Let any thoughts pass by and just try to bring your awareness to the present moment. Are you holding tension in your jaw or your neck or your shoulders? Let it go, let it soften. Start to press into your feet. And we're going to stay in this position, but we're going to lower the block onto the lowest setting. And you can place it in the same spot, or you can move it up or a little bit lower, whatever feels best for you. You may need to experiment a little bit here. And then lower your hips down. You can bring your arms by your side again or to a goalpost shape, and we're going to lift our legs up for waterfall. Your legs together, you can gently flex your feet here. And if this is too much, you can always remove the block, or you can come to a wall and do legs up the wall. But try to find a place where you're not going to have much movement for a minute or two. We spend a lot of time on our feet during the day, so it's nice to give them a little break. Another modification for this pose is you can always just bring your feet as wide as your mat and let your knees fall in for constructive rest. Slowly start to bend your knees. Bring your feet toward the mat. You can lift your hips or move your block. And then just let your knees fall to the right. Come back up through center. Let your knees fall to the left, and you can windshield wiper your knees back and forth a little bit to release your back, your low back. And then come back up to center. We're going to do one more pose. We won't hold it as long, but we're going to do one more pose before we settle into our deep rest. Bend your knees all the way into your chest, feet toward the ceiling. Reach through the inside of your legs and grab the outside of your feet for happy baby. Slightly pull down with your hands as you press up with your feet. You can always just pull your knees into your chest and give yourself a big hug if that feels better today. Let's take a few cycles of breath here. And then slowly start to lower your legs. You can take whatever extra little stretch that you may need before we come into deep rest or shavasana. Otherwise, you can start to extend your legs on your mat. Take up a lot of space. Let your arms fall by your side. Let everything just get heavy, no effort. Let your muscles sink into the floor. Let gravity pull you down. Or just slower your inhales. Slow down your breathing. Close your eyes. And just let all of the good energy you just gave your body sink in. to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe do a few ankle rolls and wrist rolls. And as you're ready, press into your feet and roll yourself onto one side. You can rest on your arm for a moment. And then start to push yourself up to a comfortable seat. And you can bring your hands on your knees, eyes closed, or you can bring your hands to heart center. We're going to end here with one round of cleansing breath. So exhale all of your air out. Inhale deeply. And then big exhale. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.